Okay, on this episode, we'll do another virtual directing exercise. We'll pick a scene where the acting and the directing aren't working, but that could be a lot better if we'd made different choices. Our job is then to find out what those better choices are. We're not doing this because it's easy, we're doing it because it's hard. Fixing a scene that isn't working is a scary thing because it confronts all our weaknesses as directors, and that's the point of this exercise. Make sure to download the transcript below, and please comment if you have good points we missed in this episode. So let's do it. On the episode today is actor Robert Riechel, who has recently had guest roles on Stumptown on ABC, This Is Us on NBC, and Black Monday on Showtime. And also joining us is Danish director Rika Yasul Hammen. By day, she's an editor for Warner Brothers TV, but she's a director at heart and has made a number of short films. This show is brought to you by Hollywood Camera Work. Check out Causality Story Sequencer, which is a new kind of writing app where you develop your story visually. Hello, guys. How are you? So, hi, Robert. Where are you hollering from?
Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, you have the best weather in the world.
I do. You should see my view, but I won't turn the camera around.
And hi, Rika.
Hi. I'm calling from the middle of nowhere in near a small town called Faxe in Denmark.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fantastic. So I think we should watch the scene first. And so this scene here is an interrogation, and and the link is in the description for those who, and you really should watch the whole thing. And then afterwards, everybody who's watching and listening, you should be doing this exercise yourself afterwards. That's really the point. So we're parked at 2:37, and let's all press play now.
I told you, man. I don't know anything.
Look, rumor has it that this missing girl played in your neighborhood.
No, I do not deal with her anymore. No.
Anymore?
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. I'm saying not now, not ever, anymore.
Easy. If you know something about the girl, we need him cooperative. If he wasn't such an idiot, he'd sue the department for that stunt you pulled today.
I'm right here. Please, come on.
Listen, turd, we need to know what you know now.
Okay. I might know who she's been going to more recently, if that helps you guys at all. I mean, I heard anyway. I heard there's this guy way out in the desert. You know, he's got the whole meth operation going on. He's got the Bunsen burners. He's got the muriatic acid. He's got the starter fluid. He's got it all going, but he's way out there.
Out in the desert. Sounds like a field trip to me, Tavish.
Listen, we're going off rumor here with this guy. We have to be careful. Just talk, nothing crazy.
Yeah. You know me, Tavish.
I mean it, Reynolds. You've broken a lot of rules. You're on thin ice with the high-ups.
Listen to this guy. It sounds like my mom.
Get suspended, but don't say I didn't warn you.
Yeah.
Okay, good, clean police work. I got it.
Seriously, if you guys are going to start making out, can I please leave the room?
Shut up, Zeke.
I think you mean refrain from speaking, suspect?
Here, Mom. Let's go. Come on.
Okay, let's pause here. So there's a lot of stuff there are a lot of gears that are not turning in that scene.
Nice way to put it. Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to just start with your initial thoughts, Robert? I'm throwing you out on deep water.
I think, of course, I'm going to go to the acting first, and that's probably not what I should do here. But I tell you what, I think that the director pinched himself a little bit into a corner where he couldn't. He's trying to get in and out quickly, so that blocking is stilted, and the actors are kind of pinched down in a way where they're doing things that normal would ever do in real life, most likely. And, a foot on the bench, a leg up on the table, sitting close to his buddy. He can't cover from the other direction. There's only kind of one way he can do this scene, right? Because the table's against the wall there. So you couldn't, even if he wanted to go the other way, he can't, right?
But what do you mean with that? So you sound like the location and the blocking possibilities. You sound like it's locking them into standing in a way that's weird for the scene. Is that what you mean?
I think that he limited himself to be able to turn the camera the other way and shoot in the opposite direction instead of just one way, right? And then over the shoulders. So if he wanted to just settle the scene from the other way, you get what I'm saying? the other way.
Yeah, I just don't know if it would hit, if it would make that big of a difference. Like they do have a reverse shot on the suspect, and so they do have that option. So I don't know if that's getting to the problems in the scene.
Okay, yeah, okay. If I were to direct this scene, I would settle my actors down. I would get their intentions straight, because I'm not sure they know what they are, because they're trying to get in and out because it's quick, and they might be in trouble. You see actors who might be in trouble here a little bit. In
trouble, you mean what? That
I mean that they don't. They're acting a lot. They're trying to do things that normal human beings wouldn't do in life, because they're on a scene. They're on a set. They're in a movie, and you can tell that they're on a set and in a movie. Am I making any sense, or am I rambling like a?
No, I'm getting it. I mean, there's some of it that is actually the script, because they're having a conversation that makes no sense. So they're having a private conversation about the suspect in front of the suspect.
So if I was sitting in this situation, and he says, "Look, here's the thing with the girl. She's in your neighborhood, right?" And we cut to the other guy, and he starts doing what he's doing. And when they're supposed to go in private, there would be no reason. I would just shoot the kid reacting to them behind their back. Maybe an extreme close-up to the kid scared to death about where they're going to take him. Because they don't have any time to shoot anything, and there's no money. So if these guys just got up, I'm just talking about the end of the scene and where they're supposed to be talking to one another. They just get up, and maybe their hands are in the frame behind the guy's head or something, right? Whispering. See what I'm saying?
Well, that would make it private, and that would also actually create some conflict right away, because
it would. And you could push into the kid getting scared immediately, because he may be going out into the desert for all he knows, and we can get out of this thing quickly with a little bit of drama. At least you might see their hands flop into the frame. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
and I'm just trying to get in and out as quickly and with as much drama as I can get, at least on that section of it.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts of that, but I'll save them a little bit. Rika,
go ahead. You go ahead.
Rika, what did you pick up?
Well, there are a couple of things, because I kind of think it as you can choose to do different things, but either you have to kind of figure out how well they know each other, that suspect and the two cops, because did they have some kind of deal beforehand, like if he comes up with some information, or that they know he's doing some illegal things, but because they have this understanding or this sort of internal deal, that if he gives them information, they won't take him in or something. Is that the kind of relationship they have, or is he just a young kid who keeps on doing things he's not supposed to do, and this time they took him in again, but they don't really care about him in the sense that they just need some information and that's it.
That is a weird thing in their relationship, that it's oddly familiar, and yet he's supposed to be intimidated by them.
Right. And I actually feel like the actor who plays the suspect,
his name is Zeke.
Zeke, yeah, right, Zeke. He talks a lot, but in a very I feel like he should either be much more relaxed and in a way like he doesn't care about anything, or he needs to be more nervous. But right now I feel like he's just saying his lines, and that's maybe where I pick up that he needs some more direction in some way.
Well, it almost sounds like he needs a choice because he's like a little bit all over the map. And it makes it self-contradictory that either he has to be more relaxed and not care, or he has to care a lot. And right now, it's impossible to tell.
And then I'm also like Robert also talked about the blocking, because as you say, Pierre, that the cops are talking about things they shouldn't be talking about in front of Zeke.
Yeah, you're in trouble with the high ups, and no, don't say that.
So they need to kind of walk away or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to think, okay, can we make it work? If we make them walk away, are we then completely changing the lines? And I think you could actually keep most of the lines almost the way they are, in the way that, for example, when Zeke, he says, if you start making out, then blah, blah, blah. He could still say that, and it would be kind of humorous.
New meaning,
because
for sure.
he would see the two cops walk away and maybe whisper or something. And so that could still work. And I also think...
Let me jump in on that, because I had the exact same note. And I don't think that this is just something that would work. I think it would work a lot. Because if they walk away and have that conversation and he doesn't know what that conversation is, that's a great way to stress him about what they're talking about and what are they going to do to me. And that means that just that single idea just gives him a ton of active stuff to play with.
Right. And we don't, and if you're in a, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping in here real quick. If you're in a tight situation where you got time, against you in 7 days, if those guys hop up, we don't need to see where they go. If you're just on the kid as they get up, and then they get up, they clear, you're on the kid. There's the kid. He doesn't know what the hell. They might be pulling out knives or whatever they're doing. And you see them kind of with their hands dropped, however you want to frame that. They're standing behind them like monsters. Then you're absolutely right, you guys, about the.
There are many ways. There are many ways to make that conversation private. Like basically, if they just step away a little bit and we see that the suspect doesn't hear what they're saying, then we believe that it's private.
That's it. Right. I was thinking more of a Scorsese type way of doing it, where you make it, one camera move to the kid, and then they're in the. I say Scorsese. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. But where they're in and we can get out of this really quickly and highly dramatically, and even with the humor you guys are saying, right? Because he's got to get himself out of this, that kid, and he says, "You guys are kissing back there. What are you doing?" So it could be funny.
I made an additional note about that if they walked away for the private stuff, because you said the get a room line, like if you're going to start making out, can I please leave?
Well, that could inform the entire character. That line, right? That line could inform the entire thing.
Here's the next one that I had was that because when he says when the older detective, his name I think is Reynolds, when he says, "Listen to this guy, he sounds like my mom." If that's the only sentence that is facing towards the suspect, so you don't know what the hell that's a response to.
That's right. Exactly right.
And so basically for the suspect, it's just a mystery what's happening over there. And if he feels that the stakes are reasonably high, then they're higher because of that. And that gives him something to do, like, what are they saying and pretending I don't care. We are recording again. Sorry, we had an internet interruption. I forgot who was saying what.
While you were gone, we built the whole scene and we were just going to blow out.
I'm dying to hear that. Go for it.
I think, right when it cut, I think I just talked about how it could also look really cool framing wise if you had Zeke in the frame and the two cops they just walk closer to the camera, like here. So they have their private talk here, but you still see Zeke in the background. So we as the audience, we get the feeling of a private conversation, but we can still see that Zeke can still have his reaction to, wondering what are they talking about and all those things in the same image.
Also, he could be tied to a chair, so he could actually be from the back, and he could be tied to a chair, so he can't actually get to turn around and see what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. I think also we talked about. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut in.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. We talked about the top of the scene where it, the push from the, how he framed it. You could start this scene on Zeke, and he's sweating up a storm, right? He's just sweating up a storm. So that you don't need, and you just step in. Your actors simply step in over the top of him. However you want to frame that up, you could do the, they just, or maybe you see their hands in the frame, and they're just they're implied standing over them, and you can see the kid sweating up a storm, and he says whatever he says at the top of the scene, and it allows the actors, because it seems we were talking about that the Reynolds character has no emotional connection to what he's saying at all in terms of.
No, that's the most glaring thing I think in this scene here.
Yeah. And that really hurts his power, and he's moving. So he's because he doesn't know exactly what he's doing or what he's saying to the guy. He doesn't have any reason to say the words. So so now he's just moving around. He puts his foot up and stuff like that. So that's actors do that. They want to save themselves, so they're going to be doing everything in their power. But if you he needs a note of some sort that he can act. And it could be as simple. And when, as an actor, I'm like, the best stuff for me is when a director, I just did a thing, and director came over and he goes, yeah, just, okay, we've done it because we did it like 5 different ways. And he goes, why don't you just say all the words together? So that I can act, right? Now, does it work? I don't know. He's going to choose. He gives me 5 different ways. I do it. So in this case, maybe he just says, you say to him, that's your daughter. He's got. Now, if he can't relate to that, he could, you're tired, or whatever it is. Then for me, I like things that I can act that aren't esoteric and, this scene, you're doing this, you're doing that. That's all great. I understand. But for me, especially in a tight situation where we got to go. Anyway, so that intimidation factor needs to be built in. We were talking about into the blocking. It just does. And I think it also gets you in and out quicker.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about getting in and out quicker. I mean, let me give you, I think.
But he was on a 7-day deal. He was on a 7-day.
But still, I mean, I get that but it's still, if it's not working, then you're doing it over and over. Like if you made the right choice, you just do 2 takes. It's like, wow.
You're out of there. You're out of there. Yeah.
So let me point out, because I still feel like we're still kind of addressing like the Christmas ornaments. Like we're not getting, I mean, a little bit. So we're getting to something meaty with where they're having the conversation that's private. I absolutely buy that. And I also buy that the suspect needs to make a choice about what his opinion about being there is.
Of course.
And I would say the same thing really goes for the Reynolds character, the older detective. Well, I mean, it's just the words don't mean anything to him now. I mean, so let me do a couple of things from my list here. The biggest problem that I see in this scene here is just that everybody is just too open and available, and they're looking at each other, they're waiting for each other to finish speaking, they're just completely concentrating on each other the way nobody does in real life. Like you're drinking, you're having coffee right now, you're listening to me, right? And I mean, I'm not trying to insinuate anything about that, but it's just the point is that there's other stuff going on in addition to the scene. And for example, let's say that, well, first of all, the drug dealer type guy, I really wish he was a little more drugged.
Yeah.
I wish that he had like just a more hazy consciousness. I mean, he has the awareness of somebody who just passed a math exam. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? I mean, he's just completely there. He's way too alert, and I mean, his mind ought to come across hazier. And even though that's kind of a result, and you're not supposed to give results, the thing is that if you gave that to any actor, they would know exactly how to convert that into something. So that would be a perfectly good piece of direction. Then the relationship between the two detectives bothers me a lot. I think the worst offender is the older detective, but they're really, and it's not. See, the thing is that there's this old spiritual saying that don't fight with darkness, just bring light in. And the same thing goes for acting, that when the scene has no meaning, it just sucks balls. And it's terrible. But the thing is that you can address all the terrible things in there. You can remove everything that's bad, and it's still not good. Because when you find the right idea, you find that the thought to play, then, and it's simple and it's active and it makes sense and there's conflict in it. When you find that one, boom, the scene just works. And it works automatically. It's just you flicked on an engine and oh my God, it's just pumping out drama. And I think in the relationship between these two here, let me find my notes. I really wish that there was more of a sense of baggage in their relationship. And
and that's actually in the words. It's actually in this script. It's actually in the words too.
I know, but it's a little bit. It's very much not in the acting.
Right.
And that's weird. And the thing is that this is the kind of stuff that you could do very easily with just role playing some past, for example. That's the easiest thing, to just create some past situations in their relationship and just improv that for 5 minutes. And when you do the scene again, it's just sprinkled with the flavor of that sludge of their prior relationship. And for example, what their prior relationship, well, it says the script hints a lot that the Tavish guy, the young guy, wants to do things like a lot by the book. And that's super obnoxious for the older cop who knows better and thinks that's stupid. You're going to have to break the rules a little bit to do some police work. Like, you'll never catch anybody if you do this by the book. And so I thought, I wrote a list of 3 situations we could role play here. Let me see, what did I write? That Reynolds, yeah, he's so bothered that he's such a good little boy that follows all the rules. And this could have been going on for a long time. So here's 3 situations. We're at McDonald's and we don't have time to get a milkshake because we have to get to the briefing exactly on time. Like, that's a conversation we could try to have. And when we're done having that and we do the scene again, we're a little more, he's a little more annoyed at him. And the other guy is a little more defensive. I wrote another one that Reynolds dropped a bullet out of his clip into a drainage grill, and Tavish insists that they either find the bullet or file a report that he lost the bullet. I mean, that's a desk jockey. I mean, he's a stickler. That's obnoxious. Do you agree? Yes. Or that they're on a stakeout and Tavish insists that they can't listen to music even at low volume because they might miss something important.
That'll do it for me.
So, I mean, can you picture, I mean, Robert, that we role played this for a little bit, you as the older character, and by the time we're done with this,
just say action after we're done.
Yeah.
Just say action. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can simply use these words right here. Yeah. And we're not moving a muscle, and we are just firing away at each other and the kid. Yes. Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
So that would immediately put some contrast, like basically some dramatic contrast into their relationship.
Yes, and it warms you up. It warms you up.
That too.
So you're not cold.
Yeah.
You're not cold. Yep.
Then I still thought about I think the weirdest part of this scene is Reynolds, the older cop's conversation with the suspect. Because just like it's weird that the suspect is both so available and truth-telling, it's also weird how Reynolds is explaining everything to him. And it's like he's way too user-friendly. Do you see what I mean? And I thought, if you remember Marty Castillo, the guy who played the the chief on Miami Vice, like not the actor, the character Marty Castillo, the chief on Miami Vice, who always has his back to Tubbs and Crockett. And the actor insisted on doing that. It was so much that he didn't want to be on the show if he couldn't do that. And he like really played hardball, and the producers just had to give him more and more and more and more money. And he said, I'm still going to play this character the way that I decide. And he said, well, we really can't let you do that. Okay, well, I mean, that's okay. I have other things to do. And they just, I mean, and he thought it was amazing. All you have to say no, and the price doubles. But it was dynamite when he was on the set, and he just would not face he would not face Tubbs and Crockett, and it was really making the actors frustrated, which bled into the characters, and it was dynamite on screen. And then everybody accepted him doing that. Anyway, that's a sidetrack. The point is that
no, because it's a note. It's an acting note.
Here's the thing. That same choice might have worked here.
Yeah.
What if he didn't give him eye contact a single time?
Yep.
What if he was doing something else at the same time that basically to show I don't give a shit about you?
Yeah.
Yep. And we're still going to get the information. I don't give a shit about you, but I'm going to get every bit.
Because that would also be scary. Like, we're trying to make the situation more scary for the suspect. And one thing that's scary is the cops completely not caring whether you live or die.
Yeah, that's good. No doubt about it. Yeah. You are not even human. So, but I'm going to get everything I need.
And then the counterpart of that was that my complaint was that everybody's too open and available. Is that especially the suspect Zeke is way too much of a truth teller, and there are no layers to this. It's just what's 2 + 2, and he says 4. 4, sir, and it's weird. And what I thought was that it would be possible to play all of his lines as though it's all bullshit. Everything he's saying is literally a lie. He's not just pretending to not care. It's like literally a lie. And that would be something to play. That would leak out something else that's happening underneath. That would give his character some layers.
That would be a note. I'm sorry. That's a note that an actor can play very quickly.
I think so.
Yeah. So you know it's a lie. Everything you're saying is a lie. Everything. Yeah. And with that haze, that's got now we've got some, we've got a character that you're believing pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so now we're working out what's going on for each there's layers to each individual actor, but there are now dynamics between like each pairing of actors. And when I imagine the scene now, I imagine there being much more meat on it. And I feel like all of this is stuff that we could tell the actors.
Yeah. I also kind of noticed that there's a lot of talking. I mean, they say a lot in a very short time. And I think just the fact that they kind of took the time to have more like moments of like just thinking before talking, or maybe even saying less, it would give so much space to the acting and not just saying words.
Let it breathe.
Yeah. So I felt like some of it could even just be that. I mean, that the fact that they go through it that fast, it is causing some of the problems.
Can I have a little comment on that? Because that was actually my very first note. The whole scene is just going too fast, and that means that nobody's listening. Absolutely nobody's listening. They're just yelling at each other, all of them. So, and I think that's great. if you were directing this, that's probably the best choice you could make. Is that I'm just going to get my big knife and I'm going to get rid of half the words. Which ones do you want to cut? I don't care, as long as it's half. Right. Because there's a thing that I think, I'm doing the scene before with a different group of people, because the scene before is even more rushed than this scene here, that they're racing through it. And I think there's something that gives acting power on screen, and that is clarity. And clarity means that you're going a little slower. You're not. It's almost like you go fast because you're thinking this sucks. I have to race through it to hide the fact that it sucks. But if you don't believe that this sucks, then it's okay to finish saying the words and let the words have impact. And because if you're just moving on all the time, then there's no impact. Right. Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. I'm not saying the words to you, and then you feel a punch in your stomach.
The camera just won't buy it. It won't buy it. Yeah. If you're on stage, maybe, but not the camera won't.
And this is something that I've noticed also with actors who are newer versus actors who are more seasoned. That actors who are new are very fidgety, and they're like touching and fixing their hair and all that stuff. And then you bring in a very seasoned actor, like you have a Patrick Stewart that you bring in there. He's not doing anything of that. His hands are just like but it's calm, precise, right in your face delivery. There's no trying to skip anything. And I realized, thinking about that's authority, because like. If you walk into the office of like a mafia boss, guess who's sitting at the table and not moving? And guess who are the people moving? Like the guy who doesn't move is the boss. He's the authority. And all the other people have to move around him. And that's...
No, don't leave us. Oh, there you go.
Oh, you froze again.
Got your back.
I see you guys. I see you.
We got you.
Are we still here? Okay. But do you see what I mean? That if you allow yourself to just be there on screen, it becomes 10 times stronger, and everything you're saying becomes more believable, and it's stronger and has more authority. And it's just
for a director.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for a director who is having trouble with an actor to do what you're asking them to do. What for you? How do you handle that? Like in the middle of a very not difficult day, but a day.
Are you asking me like, well, what's the situation?
I'm asking, yeah.
What's the situation?
And you've hired the actor.
But when you say having difficulty, what do you mean having difficulty?
I mean like they're moving, they're fidgety, they're in trouble. They're a little bit in trouble. That's still. That could mean a lot of different things, but in this particular case here, I would try to frame it in the positive. Or if I'm framing it like if I really want them to stop fidgeting, I would rather tell them that we have a couple of takes, one where he's moving more and one where he's moving less, and the one where he's moving less is just way stronger. And I just discovered this, and it's just really cool. I would like to try to go much further in that direction. Right. So can we do one where you just really like almost force yourself to just be more on screen and not touch anything, move slower, and then we do that take, and then I would celebrate that take afterwards by just saying, "Wow, oh my goodness, I didn't know that was in there," and then. And then even though we started addressing a negative, the actors can end up getting a boost and feel like, the actor just wants to do something that's working. The actor just wants to make the director happy. And that's why it's worth it to be happy, even about things that aren't actually going well, because that will give the actor a boost. And then the next take, it will have more confidence, and then they calm down, and then everything becomes stronger. Yeah.
But I did have a question for you, Robert. Like, if you were fidgeting, how would you? I mean, what's the best way to word it? Well, what's the best way to word it for you that doesn't feel like shame? Rika, hold your thought. By the way.
Yes. I'll try.
Feel like shame. You know, good directors never make you feel shame. That's the first part.
Exactly.
And directors who know what they're doing and they've got control of their instrument they would never do that. They could come and say, let's see. Because I know, actually, you hit on something that I actually do. I am fidgety.
Okay.
But I know when I settle in my power, which is just staying still, just getting on the ground. I'm on the ground now, and I'm just, you pair are who I'm talking to. Mm-hmm. That part I get. So if a director came over and said, listen, just say it. Just say it for me. Mm-hmm. I understand what they're saying. Now, a lot of directors probably wouldn't just do that, but I know I'm going around because the process is hard for me to articulate, right?
Sure.
And if you say to me, Robert, let's get him to hand you the drink, and then I'm focused on getting the drink in my hand, and that has settled me in, and I'm not scratching and itching. Let's say that was the note. Mm-hmm. Get him to pass that drink to you. Okay, I can act that in this whatever situation it might be. Or don't look at him. Just don't look at him. And don't do anything. Just don't look at the guy. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Well, I think let me read your mind a little bit. I think
read my mind. Yeah.
I think what calms you down is when you believe that it's working.
Yes.
Rika, you still have to hold that thought, by the way. We're coming back.
Yeah.
And I think,
and as an actor, when it's working, and you have to trust your director. I've worked with, not to name anybody, but I'm going to. Frank Darabont.
Okay.
Cast me in a show that I was on for a while, and because I knew who he was, right? I trusted the words that he said when I didn't think it was working. And I said to him, he said, I need it to go. This was the direction he gave me. He goes, I need this. Like that. That's what he did. And I said, okay. And then I would ask him, did we get it? And he said, did we get it? We got it 3 times. And so I wasn't, after that, I said, okay, I'm never going to ask him if we ever get it again. Because I know when I say the words and he says, right? Yeah. He says, we've got it. That's the end of it. And he says, cut. Then so you have to really, as an actor, trust your director. So if I don't trust that the guy knows what he's doing, that makes it really hard on me.
But don't you think that, sorry, we're really sidetracked from Rika's point.
Yeah, we're sidetracked.
But we're getting there because he gave you in the example that you gave, there are some smaller choices to do. Hold this cup, do this. And if all those things somehow come from an understanding of the character, then they all, I can feel that. There's some character in that. Oh, now we're on track.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're just like, okay, now I can relax.
Yes. Right.
That Rika, nicely put. Can you remember your point?
Yeah, let's say we're in a situation where we won't be able to understand exactly the character. There's something wrong with maybe the script, or it can be sometimes it's maybe the director is not able to explain it clearly to the actor, but we're in a situation where it's just not clear. However we try and talk about it, we'll never really understand the character.
You're describing hell right now. Let me just say, you're describing a pit in your stomach. Oh my God, we're crashing now. Go ahead.
But you still need to get the scene done, right? Yeah. So in those cases, and sometimes even in better cases, I like throwing in small notes that are like completely out of context, but something kind of like you have a reflux, or you have a stomach ache right now, or imagine you have a coin between your buttocks, or it's like a physical thing, but because if you have a coin stuck between your buttocks, then you won't be able to move in the same way, or maybe you're talking in a different way, or you're more snappy if you feel sick and someone just won't give you what you want from them right at that time, then you're less patient. So sometimes I like throwing in an information that doesn't really have anything to do with like a character thing, but it's just more like a physical detail, and that can sometimes help getting something from the actor that looks more plausible in some way.
I'd love to add a little bit of nuance because I've been in the exact situations myself, and I probably drew some different conclusions.
Okay.
Because the thing is that those things might be fun, but they are totally not addressing the problem in the scene. And so, for example, I've been in directing situations where I realized as I was directing that I did not understand this character, and the way that I'd framed the character in my mind was actually extremely superficial, and I actually knew nothing about how this character is thinking. I can't tell if it's working. I can't tell if we're getting closer or further away. And I have video of me directing this, and I want to crawl in a hole because I keep directing little details, like little, timings about how you come in the door, or, little things that are things you would decorate once you had a solid place to stand. But when you're decorating, you're doing small things, and the big thing, the elephant in the room, is not figured out, and everybody can feel it, and the actors can feel that the director is drowning right now.
Yeah.
All of that, I think, looks different. And I think the solution, okay, here's what I think the solution is to that, is that you're going to have to fake it as a director. You're going to have to pretend that it's good, even if it isn't. And you're going to have to get through the scene, because here's also something that you need to know is that sometimes it's working much better than you think, and you're on the set and you have a tendency to see everything that's wrong, but when all that construction dust falls away, then you're just like, hey, this is actually pretty good. But you won't realize that until later, and that means that right now you're just going to have to bootstrap yourself and just insist that it's good. And then maybe the actors will kind of, okay, I guess it's going pretty good. And then that's when they really bring their A game, because, when actors feel like it's not working, then they're trying to fix that. And once they believe it's working, then they kind of can access their talents. And now they can, okay, we have a solid place to stand. Let's fuck with it a little bit. And that's where you get all the interesting takes.
That's right.
And so I think there's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in here, that if you lie and insist that it's good, and you should always do that at the beginning of a day, because everything stinks at the beginning of a day. And if you don't lie and get through stinky time, then you will never get through it. You will just start low and sink. Right. I mean, you must have felt that sometimes, Robert, that there are some times when the scene is not working, and we can all feel it, and we can feel it the whole day.
Yeah, you know what on the acting side of it, when I feel like it's not working, I just have to settle down. I just settle in, because I know that the camera is the thing. And the camera is the thing. The camera is the audience, not the other actor, not anything. That camera is sitting there going, okay, and it's judging what you're doing, every nuance. So if I'm in trouble, the director's in trouble, everybody's in trouble, I go, I'm not in trouble. I'm a professional, and I have to get through this. Yeah. And if it's up to me, it's my face out there. It's the scene that I'm in. So I just try to settle.
But you're pressing the magic button, because when you calm down, everything you do becomes better and stronger.
Yes, and everybody else. So you can hear the room. You can hear the room, and you can get the director. It can kind of work the other way too. Is kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. If you can, you know what I'm saying to you.
So we
actually right the other day, a friend of mine called me. He's an actor, and he was like, before a couple of days before he spoke to me about a scene he was going to shoot, and he was super excited and everything. And then when he called after the shooting, he was so depressed. And I said, well, why are you so sad, and what's going on? And he said, yeah, well, it just didn't turn out right, and it was really bad. And I said, well, really? And then when we talked a little bit, he said, well, he thought it was fine and that he was doing great, but the director, he just shared too much of his own feelings. So the director got upset about some technical things and camera work things, but let the actor know about it. So that energy kind of just spilled over to the actor, and that was just
you have
really,
to keep it together as a director. You really do.
Yeah.
I mean, then because then otherwise everybody just starts feeling that there's nobody at the helm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is quickly is scheduling. I know this is going to sound weird. I was, to be able to know where you are emotionally in your script and how you schedule that is extraordinarily important, I think. And I did a movie where the very first day, the very first shot, the very first moment that the crew and everybody else was together on a pretty big movie, that was my scene, 8:00 in the morning, the most emotional scene in the entire movie.
Okay.
It was the first scene.
Have fun with that.
The first shot of the entire movie. And I thought, and when the night before when we rehearsed it a little bit, I said, well, who did the schedule? Why aren't we warming up a little bit with stuff where we're just maybe walking down the street, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, the AD did it, or something like that. And I said, oh, okay. And you get what I'm saying, Per, about, because this helps the actors. You don't, in my estimation, you don't throw them in.
I mean, that's still pretty common knowledge that you schedule, that you do some throwaway scenes to bootstrap on and get your feet wet. Mm-hmm. And then you make sure that you have the deepest parts of a relationship before the actors hate each other and stuff like that.
I'll tell you right now, it's absolutely true that's common knowledge. And in this case, it didn't happen. So, in other words, you got to save yourself out there. Mm-hmm. You got to save yourself because we only got, 10 takes or something of the thing.
So, but we should loop back to the scene here because do we feel that we solved it? Like I feel a lot better about this scene. I mean, obviously we'll never know if we're right because we're never going to shoot it. Mm-hmm. So we're just using our gut feelings to find out if we're right.
I think working through the acting part will be a big part of what we discussed in terms of what the actors and the role playing that you brought up. Very big thing, I think, for this particular scene in this situation with a tight schedule and actors that are just kind of,
Yeah, because that's the thing about the tight schedule. So what I am feeling actually in this scene is that the production is bleeding into the acting. That we're in like a crazy hurry. Okay, stand over there. Okay, action. And the actors are like stressed. Okay, talk faster. And it just doesn't work. And so this is why these kinds of scenes here to practice on are actually pretty hard to find, because obviously there's no shortage of things on YouTube where you just say, okay, well that's bad acting. But where it's not salvageable, I think this is salvageable. I think that these two actors here, I think, could be dramatically better with better direction. I think the lesson that the director should have learned here is to not let production stress bleed into the acting, and because it's ultimately not faster. It's the same thing as sometimes. Just taking a nap actually means that you get something done faster than if you just keep pounding at it. And it's the same thing with the acting. If we just slow the whole thing down, we're going to make it. It's going to be okay. Let's try this scene a few different ways. And it's fine. And you're doing fine either way.
Per, do you think sometimes directors forget that the thing is what we're shooting, and what it's the actors in the scene in the moment, not
I don't
all
understand.
the rest of it. In other words, the only thing that matters is what's going to be on the screen. So the time that you take, you get what I'm saying? In other words, you said
yeah.
the production bled into the acting. Well, it was because the director perhaps didn't realize what the final product is. And the final product is these actors in this situation. That's it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I get that. There's a second half to that, is that you desensitize as a director. And I think that's one of the most difficult things as a director is getting a sense of how it's actually going. Because between takes, it's all production stress, and there's not enough dolly track. We're going to have to reset that, and then we have to move all these marks. And then where's that guy? He's supposed to be here, and all that stuff. And that's very loud, and it's very forceful. And then immediately you're supposed to step in and judge something that's really, really quiet, and it's really subtle, and a little twitch of the lip has meaning. And you can't go from that headspace to being able to judge that. And I feel, for example, you have the Teradek systems where you have a wireless feed on your iPad. I think that is fantastic for directors, that you get a private feed, and you need to create quiet around you because the things that work in the movie are too small to impress you on the set. And that's why when you're watching, you're just like, it's like bigger, better, more emotion, all the cliches. Because it's not because it's not working, it's because you can't feel it. Like your sensor apparatus is not functioning. Like you become hard by directing. And I think you need to find a way, you need to find a soft place where you can get your judgment back. Because then the next thing that happens is you start becoming impressed with smaller things, and you stop demanding bigger from the actors. And then suddenly everything is good again. Then everything that you're getting from the actors is like, oh wow, that was so subtle. Like you should be applauding the actors for being subtle, not for being loud. And it's like, oh, that moment that was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop. I mean, you should give compliments to those kinds of moments so that the actors know that it's okay to be quiet. It's you don't have to be impressive.
Right. And that's learning how to work. As a director, that's learning your profession, how to work, right? That demarcation line between production and acting and filming the scene, the actual scene.
But I think we have a lot of the symptoms of it here. Like I think
we do. That's
I mean, I feel like the sentence that light should be more yellow, and you guys are meeting for the first time. That's in the same sentence, right? I mean, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Exactly. So there's a demarcation.
Yeah.
For a director, he's got to go. This is production. This is the work. This is the work. And you need to change headspace, and you need to realize that you're desensitized. And you need to get your sensitivity back, because otherwise you're going to be demanding all the wrong things from the actors. Yeah, and they'll just like you say, they'll just start doing all kinds of stuff to save themselves. Well, they just want to make you happy, and if you say they do, and if that's what's going to make you happy, then I'm going to do it, even if it sucks. And even if I know inside me it's wrong. Oh man, it's brutal. It's brutal. But I feel like I think we made some great progress on the scene here. Let's see.
It could be fun to try and go out and shoot it again.
Well, I think even a couple of these notes would solve a lot of the scene's issues. I think so too. No doubt. Just maybe 2 or 3 would solve it. Yeah. For the entire. I'm very happy. I got to tell you, every time I do this exercise, I feel daunted.
And
Yep.
but it's kind of it's strange because it's hard when a scene doesn't work. Your heart just sinks because you're just blank. I don't know. I'm watching the scene. I can feel it's not working, and I'm blank. And I've done this scene before. Like I did this like 5 years ago with some other people, and I was blank. I didn't solve this scene 5 years ago. So apparently I've improved because this time it was pretty obvious to me what was wrong with this scene.
Well, I liked how you went back to something that you can work, right? Yeah. You went to something that you go, okay, with this can work. We can role play. We can this. We can that. We can shoot this. We can to solve it instead of. So you have a toolbox.
Yeah.
That you can go to.
Don't you feel as an actor that it's actually so? This is what I preach in the directing actors course, that it's better to experiment than it is to just tell people what to do, because if I give you a direction, you should do it that way. Like and let's say even if I'm giving you a great piece of direction, the fact that I'm giving you one thing that you now have to fail or succeed at is going to put all kinds of stress on you. Whereas if I tell what I think is more the truth, that I have 10 ideas here, they're all technically good ideas, but only 2 of them are going to work. So we're just going to have to try all of them. And now suddenly we can try one idea, you play that, and then we can look at each other and say, eh. And then we try another one. Oh my God, what was that? And now there's not pressure on you. We already know that most of my ideas are not going to work. And so when the idea doesn't work, it's definitely not your fault. And now there's not the same pressure on each of these ideas. I'm not giving you one thing and you have to do it, and if I don't do it, I suck.
Yeah.
And so the toolbox thing that you said is a much better way to be a director, that you bring things that could work, but you're completely realistic that most of these things won't work, because you have to match the right idea to the right actor, and there's a little Venn diagram where you get good direction.
Yes.
I used to love that Star Wars thing that there is no try. Do or do not, there is no try. And I thought, oh, that sounds really wise. It's exactly wrong. For doing any kind of art, the moment it's do instead of try, there's all kinds of pressure on that if you could just say, I'm going to try and it's going to fail or succeed, and we don't really care because I have 10 other things to try, you're going to do much better. It's exactly wrong.
In TV, man, when you have 8 days to shoot one 1 hour episode for, some NBC show, it's tough on directors, and you get hired as an actor, right? Because they know that you're going to step in, give them exactly what they saw in the read, and that's it. But you can do that. I mean, you know how you did the read. I mean, you're confident enough in it that you can just show up and do that. And right, and they have confidence in the fact, that you can do that work, because I don't have time, Robert, to work through, this stuff. There's no time. That's why we hired you, because you're going to work through and you're going to bring it, and we'll adjust as need be, and we'll get out of this thing and we'll go to the next one. And right. So it's important. It's tough for everyone around, but if you're a pro, you're smiling the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who say that you're going to have to drag me off the lot. I'm staying.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's fun, right? Yeah. And when you get that work going, man, it's exhilarating, right? Because it's exhilarating. Thing. That guy's bringing that thing there. We tweaked that. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's really good.
But it's good. We kicked its ass. I think we did good. So I'm very happy. Go ahead.
Oh, I just came to think about, because we talked about this production being very time pressured.
Sure.
And maybe you could even think of the scene being shot at a different location. Like, for example, you could put it at the same location as where they pick up the guy, the cops. For example, if
that's an excellent point, because they're really constrained by that room.
Yeah, that's good.
And then you also you have you get more time because you don't need to change location, or you could in any way you can kind of just think about, what would it do for the scene if it put it in a different place.
The location is totally not helping them here. It's because it's contradicting everything that's happening in the scene.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
I agree.
And it doesn't really read interrogation.
No, it really doesn't. It's just
like an office.
It's a weird job interview.
Yeah, it's a weird job interview. Exactly. It's an office. Yeah, but if that's if they had to steal it from their brother-in-law or something, then the stuff that we were working on would save them, maybe save it a little bit.
Yeah. So I just want to point out again that we're not doing this to crap all over the original work.
No, gosh, no.
We're doing this in a recognition that it's hard, and the proof that it's hard is that it took us an hour to crack the code.
Exactly.
Plus homework. So,
right. Plus a little homework. Yeah.
So
and
that's
we
why
even feel for the actors and the director here.
Yeah, I mean, but there's no. I mean, this is something that every stand-up comedian knows, that there's nothing worse than bombing. But you know what it's like as an actor to bomb. It's just you're standing there on the set and it's not working, and everybody knows it, and you're sinking.
No one in the house that can save you.
Yeah.
There's no one at home that's going to save the fire. Going to put out the fire. No one. Yeah.
How do you I mean, have you been in situations where you just felt like you were sinking? And how did you handle yourself in that?
Not sinking.
Yeah.
But it's not working.
But that's pretty normal. I mean, it
is normal. That's why
if people will tell the truth, it's not working a lot of the time.
It's most of the time, and when you get home, it starts to work, right? Or when the production's over. Now it works. Yeah. Now it works.
But you've still, I mean, you've been in situations where you felt like you were drowning a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I've been. Oh, of course. And I'll tell you, most of the time, it's because I don't trust my director. Mm-hmm. And
is that legitimate? Like, do you legitimately not trust the director, or is it because you have a trust issue? He's there. He just froze. It was such a good question that you froze.
Yeah, I did. I put my head up in the air. It's both. It's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. And like I gave you that example, I didn't even trust the guy who's won an Academy Award because of not because of him, because of me. But sometimes, to answer your question, the only way that I get out when I'm sinking is to lean on what I know, what I do well, and I know who I am, and I know the work that I've done in the character, and that I bring that in, and I'll just step back, slow down, and give it that. Then I know I can save at least that camera is picking up that. And maybe might not be the right note or tone in that moment or that scene, but at least I've saved, at least as far as I know, until I see it, that I've saved myself a little.
It's first principles, kind of like you go back to the things that you know for sure.
That work for me, yeah.
Yeah,
you lean on your strengths. If you're trying to do 45 different things, it's a disaster. Just lean on your strengths. It's kind of how so you better know your power, where your center is. You got to know it, or else, I mean, you can just imagine if you were working on a movie for 8 months or something, and this was every day for an actor or for a director, it's not a good experience. So pretty soon you're just out.
If you're doing it for 8 months, I'm pretty sure you find a groove after a while. And also the director starts trusting that it's working, and then he or she stops directing you so damn much.
That's right. You just come in. You just come in to do it. Yeah, that's right. So
yeah. But this is good. let's stop here. But you guys have an open invitation to come back, and I'll find some more scenes, and we'll play with this, because the goal here is to become better at this, so that one day you can just stand on a set. It's not working. Just say, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And I know that there are people like what's his name, James Burrows, for example. I know a lot of people who've worked. I talked to a lot of actors. This was back when I was basically doing my research for directing actors, and I had a number of actors who had worked with him, and I created these situations of a scene that's not working, and I said, because he's really good at this, and I asked, what would he do in this situation? And they're thinking, he would probably make them talk through a door or something like that. Like he would immediately create a situation that has energy.
Yeah.
And that kind of gave me the idea that it is possible to get to a place where you can diagnose and give useful direction quickly, and it works. And I thought that's kind of cool. I want that skill.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. Every time we become 1% better, and one day we're good.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
1% is a big point.
Yeah.
1 point in the right direction.
Okay. So I want to thank you both. And
Thank you.
And we'll see you very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
I hope you thought that was interesting. Post in the comments if you have ideas for solutions we missed, or if you have ideas for other YouTube short films we ought to analyze. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes, and I'll see you soon.